hard today. We've been high.
Hope I won't babble my way through this. I get very emotional.
Can you need the microphone? Can y'all hear her really good? Is that a yes?
Is that a sign?
No, I think we got a sign. Sorry, she needs help. That's fine.
It's yours?
With the fans going too, the ambient noise is kind of hard. Which one, Barge? Tell me which one.
Gray.
Gray?
Yep.
Okay.
I had one up there last week just in
Gray
case.
cord right out there.
Is that
Orange gray cord.
Sometimes it's a little.
Trying.
We're all hostile with it.
And you can take it out if you want to. You just rub it over.
My car's way down under.
Too long for me to go and sleep.
You want to sing? All right.
And hopefully it's all. I want to cover your face.
I think it is.
Yep, that's pretty loud.
You might have to pull it close. It's been fun if you do.
All right, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me now?
Rock on.
Okay, that's a little scary. It's already kind of scary getting up here to talk in front of folks, and I'm not very well with that. And I guess, to imagine y'all naked is not a good thing in church. But I'd like to start with a song that means, I'm going to start crying, a lot to me. It makes me realize how He never stops. He never stops looking for us, and He never stops seeking us. And it's Reckless Love, and if you've never heard it before, when you see the lyrics, you'll know. It's beautiful. So to me, that song speaks volumes. If I can get through it, I'm going to read from Luke here, because he leaves the 99 to find the one. And that's what He's done for me. Sorry. Probably more times than He should have. What is more times than He should have? I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. But in Luke 15:3, so Jesus told this story. If the man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness to go search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he finds it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, because I have found the lost sheep." In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over the 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed. That verse right there meant a lot to me when I read it. I've never fully made it through the Bible. I've just recently, back in fall, started a Bible study group and started reading the Bible. But wow, that's what He does for us. He loves us, and He's never ending, and He's not going to stop. He's not going to stop poking until He gets you. And I know it's in Matthew too, but this is my favorite, because it talks about how He celebrates when He finds you. Okay. I'm going to give y'all just a little bit of background about my life, so you'll kind of understand my story. And I was very blessed. I grew up in a very loving home. I had two beautiful parents. My father would have been here today, but unfortunately he's sick. I grew up, I was kind of a chunky little girl. Chubby. And apparently after I had my tonsils out, I learned how to eat. And there you go. So I grew up, I always felt like I wasn't as pretty and skinny as the other girls. So I never fully felt accepted by others. I was a little bit of a tomboy too. So that kind of, you didn't fit in with girls as much. I had a few girlfriends, but not as many. And there's a reason I have to cut that I did grow up in church. I was baptized at a very early age. To be honest with you, I really don't even remember it. That's the sad reality. I was married very young. I married when I was 20 to my first husband. And I spent quite some years with him until I finally realized that there was a life outside of being mentally and sometimes physically abused. You stay for the wrong reasons. It's not always the right reasons. And as prefacing, the chubby little girl that I was, I lost a lot of weight when I got into my teens. I learned how to fad diet. I learned how to take diet pills. I learned to see a diet doctor. When I started working, I learned how to, I learned to manipulate to get skinny. It was not a very healthy journey. Now I lost mine. So, one of the things, he looked at me one time because he was also a cheater. The first week after I married, we got a phone call from a girl and said, "Hey, did you marry him?" And I said, "Who is this?" She calls me at work. And he had been cheating on me then, and I should have left then. But you're young, dumb, and naive. And I realized, too, that I've been looking for love in the wrong places. When truly this whole time I've been loved and just not realized it. But he would look at other women and I'd make comments, I'm like, oh, that's what you want. You want a pretty girl like that or someone skinny like that, or, and society makes us feel awful as it is too, And he's like, oh no, I like my Amazon woman. Well, as a female, that doesn't make you feel very good about yourself. So, it was when my grandmother passed away, which is a very beautiful person in my life as well. I realized that there was more to life than living in misery. And my son, I thought staying was the right thing for him, and that was probably the worst thing I could have ever done for him. Because he watched a lot, he saw a lot, and heard a lot. Which, made me feel bad about that. But she lived with a man that was mentally, and I think he was sometimes physically abusive to her. We just didn't know it. So I knew at that point that it was time for me to to move and venture to that part of my life. I realized that I chose events in my life that have taken me away from God. I've attended marriage 3 times. Not made it through one. My second husband actually was a nice guy, but I just was so bitter and mean. I chose to be bitter. And my theory and process to me was, I'll get you before you get me. And he just couldn't. I understand. You can't tolerate that in your life. And it was really after my first marriage, I learned what partying was. I learned how to go out and have a good time. So I spent a lot of time, my nights drinking, partying, doing whatever I wanted to. There's probably times that, instead of letting my son go spend the night with somebody, I probably should have brought him home some time. But I was selfish and thinking about me. I met my third husband, and I thought that I'd finally found someone to come into my life that was going to be different. Right before my 7-year anniversary, I found out he was cheating on me. It's like a trend, huh? During our marriage is when I lost my mom. That is when I truly turned from God. I hated him, despised him, and I didn't want anything to do with him because he stole my world from me. That she was my best friend when I was pregnant, and not even when I was pregnant, just in general, when I did work or, we spent time together. We'd go shopping, We did everything. She kept my son for me all the time while I worked. So I worked salary, so I worked a lot of hours, and also that was my excuse for not attending church regularly because, if I had a Sunday off, well, I'm tired, that's my day, But that's really when my drinking increased too. I felt that alcohol was my friend. Then when my husband and I separated, the drinking really increased. It got to the point where I would just, it's sad to say, but I would literally cry myself to sleep in a bottle with my dog. But then, again, here we go searching for bad choices, because I can make them. I met a gentleman when I was working at my store in Asheville, and you kind of sense something, I guess it's God, and back then I'd say my gut was telling me to kind of listen, but you don't. I just didn't. I was like, nah. He's giving me attention, he's showering me with gifts. This is going to be different this time. Was I wrong? Quit my job. Moved all the way out to Colorado with him. I went financially broke out there. With the intentions that I was going to have a different life, and because that's my heart again. I want to help everybody and I want to do for everybody. My intentions were when we were out there, because supposedly he had some money and we were going to open a working ranch, which is my dream, to help others and to get veterans back to work. Well, we were not a good combo as it was. He was addicted to pain meds and I enjoyed my alcohol. So, as you can imagine, it really wasn't good. He was getting off the pain meds. When we moved out to Colorado, though, he had to have back surgery again. And when he did, pain meds. So I became addicted to those again. So out there, I was kind of on my own alone. I did everything to myself, which was okay to me in a way. I was like, well, I'm out here. I'm enjoying myself, not a care in the world. But I read something this morning, and I felt it was very interesting, and it's not a Bible verse or anything, but it clicked with me because, like I said, while I was out there, I was on my own, pretty much. I took care of him, and the rest of the day, me and the dogs, we'd go do whatever we wanted to. We'd hike, whatever. But sometimes God puts you in a place alone to realize you don't need anybody but Him.
Amen.
And I really feel that that's why a part of that journey occurred for me, a part of my life. Because while I was out there, I had my Sundays free. I didn't do much. I'm going to go to church today. So I found a couple churches, and I will tell you there are some interesting places you'll find out there. It was not for me, even as I was not very godly. I was like, it's nice to meditate, and it's nice to do yoga, but we're not going to do that here at church. So then I found another church, and I fell in love with this church. I don't know what it was. And it's funny because, I get very emotional at church. I always, even when I would attempt to go to church, I got to go check that box this week, when I would go. That's how I viewed it, in a way. Because I felt like every time I went, nothing's going right for me. It wasn't him. It was my bad choices that weren't going right. But while I was out there, I started attending a church, and I actually started serving at this church, which is something I never would have imagined myself doing. But I don't know, I just felt so drawn there. So shortly, we had to move out of Boulder and move to another town, and there was a satellite church of it there. So I like, this is great. So I started going to that church. And things in my life were really not good. I was still drinking. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I was fully committed. I was still drinking and, doing my thing. And things were starting to get really bad between him and I. And I felt like I was being manipulated. I was being lied to. And me that I want to be, I have to look for the best in everybody. There's something good in you. You can be, I don't know what it is. You can be the rottenest egg, but there's still something. I'm going to find something still good here. So, but things got really bad, and I'm like, this isn't right. Something's not right. It's like nagging at me. And I sat in church one Sunday, and I sat there and I prayed to God. I sat there and I said, God, I said, there's something wrong here. I said, I know he's lying to me, and I need you to reveal this to me. I need to see. I need you to just put it in my face, because I'm not going to believe it until it's in my face. I'm one of those. So I prayed, and then I left church, went home that day, and 2 days later, he answered my prayer. I found the poem. He had taken some of my items and pawned them in without me knowing about it. And that's when I knew right then and there that this has got to stop. I got to come home. So I called my dad while I had him in front of me, because I'm smarter than that. And I said, I need to come home. I said, he's been lying to me. So I got back home. I couldn't understand why God would send me back here again. I was excited to be in Colorado. I loved it out there, and I just didn't want it here. I like totally skip a lot of my. Oh, it doesn't matter. So when I got home, I'd started going to New Spring Church. And I was going faithfully on Sundays when I could. I started working, I'll back up the bus a little bit. I came home a week later. Thank God I had a job. Started working at Lowe's. And I was actually pretty excited because, I was like, well, they're actually paying me pretty decent to be a flooring specialist. This isn't going to be too bad. And so I was excited about that. And then I will really say that I'm really blessed now because, and this is all God, I know, because the opportunity came open for a position at our pro specialist. And Keith here, come running back there, he says, hey Lisa, I think you'd be a good fit back there. You'd be a good fit with us, boy. And I'm like, okay, cool, And he's like, I was like, these Sundays off. Yeah. So I know I'm really blessed, and that's because now I've been up there at the desk with Keith, and we have a phenomenal team up there. And I really thank you for looking out for me, but I know mainly where that lookout came from, because I had the capabilities of coming here on Sundays. But at the time it was New Spring. And I started going to church, and I go to church. I felt good at church. Still fully probably was not where I needed to be. When it really hit me, that it was time to really give my life to Him and to surrender was, well, actually, let's not fast forward that yet. Shortly after being home, one of my best friends from Asheville had came up. And I was excited. All right, girls night out. Here we go. Okay, we'll go have a couple drinks. It'll be all right. Nothing major. Oh no. Because it was Saturday night, and what's next? What's the next day?
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. I said, okay, I said, we'll go, we'll have a couple drinks. I said, but I can't miss church. What happened? I got wasted. I got so wasted. I couldn't even drive myself home. You know what's worse? I couldn't get up and go to church the next morning. That's when I realized that I was so ashamed, and I felt so much pain, and I'm like, oh, I let it down again. Here I go, I'm trying to do better, and I let it down. So then I'm like, I really have to get my act together, because that's not who I want to be.
Amen.
So I started a group at church, and it's kind of like I can't even think of it. It's called Connect Classes, is what it's called over there. And it's a little 4-series class you go through, and you have to go to that to even serve at their church. So I started that, which was going good. I did start serving, and I enjoyed it because I was a part of like the welcome committee, and I invited people who random strangers. I'd be like, "Hey, sit with me," you know. Didn't care. Because I can remember what it's like to be the one just getting church on by herself. That was me when I would go. Lost my train of thought here. Sorry, I have to look at my notes to lose my place of where I was. There was a couple verses I wanted to make sure I included in here too. So I was so upset though and ashamed about what I had done. I started a Bible study group. Like I said, I've never been one to sit down and just read the Bible or even really want to spend time in the Bible. And in the beginning, the biggest thing for me was, for me to join it was, I needed that accountability in the beginning. I needed someone that's going to say, hey, we call it SOAPs, what we do. We call it, it's just scripture, observation, how you're going to apply it in your life in your prayer. And so I needed that accountability at that point. I would not have been able to sit down and do that on my own. But I've learned so much being a part of that group. And I did another group through the church. It was just it was an 8-week series where about 5 of us women got together and met, and we went over different things in our life, and we discussed different Bible verses and read different things. So when I started my Bible study, I want to share this. When I started my Bible study group, I did. I'd read sometimes and I'd get frustrated. And it's happened up until here just recently. I'm kind of getting a better grasp of things. But I'll never forget, it was actually March 14th. And I was on my way to my hairdresser to get my hair done. And that's in Greenville. I lived in Greenville with my third husband. So I'm riding through and I'm just remembering. And my heart was broken again. And I sat there and I said, I am so tired of all this heartache. I said, I am tired of people breaking my heart. What's funny is earlier in the day, I had done my Bible study before I went to get my hair done. And let me find where I got that marked. Hang on. I tried to be prepared, but mine's not as prepared as Miss Amy was. She really had it together.
You're doing great. Don't be
Just
sad.
kidding. I'm just kidding. So it's Mark 14:65, and it says, "Then some of them began to spit at him, and they blindfolded him and beat him with their fists." Man, that really just none of that really stuck out at me at the time. But like I said, I was riding and I was like, man, I'm tired of the heartache, I'm tired of being hurt, and blah, blah, blah. And I just like, self-pity is where I was. I was in my own self-absorbed self-pity. So, went on, had my day, get ready for bed, I go to bed that night, and then I wake up. He spoke to me. Or it hit me. And I realized that, and I actually have, I've lost the place of it, but I can do about that. I realized that my pain, my heartache, how dare me sit there and complain? It is nothing for what he went through for us.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I woke up and I was like, shame on me. Man, you know, what you did for me and everybody else is unbelievable. I was like, wow. It's like, it takes a bit for the light bulb to go off on me sometimes. So, just like I was complaining about reading Acts just recently and made it through it. Didn't understand why. I'm like, man, this is just so boring. And then the light bulb, I come back from walking with my dogs the other day, and I said, that's it. I know why I had to read that out. Man, what he endured. He never stopped, though. He never stopped trying to teach others about Jesus and lead them to God. I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's like, that's what I need to do in my life.
Amen.
Relentless. I mean, he really was. In prison and the shipwrecks and just never gave up.
Amen.
That's what we're supposed to be. That's when the light bulb. Like I said, I'm sure God looks down just like I'm like a thumper because she's just not getting it. I'm one of those stubborn children, apparently, for him, I'm sure. Some of the stuff, though, that I have really, I still struggle. We all struggle. Just like the looks thing I was talking about earlier. You know, that's a struggle for me. The not fitting in is a struggle for me. One of the things I really realized in my Bible study group is that, you know, I always felt like everybody was judging me. I always didn't feel enough for other women. I thought other women were so much pretty. You know, I don't fit in with them. They don't like me. They're just men, you know, whatever. And I would stay to myself a lot because of that. But I realized that, you know what? I judged men. That was so eye-opening for me to realize that shame on me, because really I've been the one at fault here this time. I struggle, but you know what? I'm growing every day. I stay at my word. I've made changes to my morning routine. Some of that is, though, because I've gotten where I really like being in my word in the morning.
Amen.
It sets my day better. Some of the things I've learned is I am loved and he forgives me. I've done a lot I'm not proud of.
That's right.
This just kind of touches the tip of the iceberg of some of them. But the worst was when my mom passed, and I didn't want anything to do with it. And that's heartbreaking because someone that loves us so much and sacrificed everything for me, I treated that way. And it's remarkable that he can forgive us and still love us for that.
That's right. That's right.
I've learned something else just recently. Probably about it's been about a little over 2 months now. I decided that, you know what, I wasn't getting intoxicated and I wasn't getting tore up on the floor up anymore. I wasn't living that lifestyle, but I was still partaking in a drink here or a drink there. And I've decided to just surrender that to Him, period.
Amen.
Amen.
I don't need it.
Amen.
I don't even miss it, is what's crazy.
Amen.
I just learned to that really since probably about October of last year that I kind of have to separate myself from some people in my life.
Amen.
And that hurts because there's a lot of people that I love dearly, but I just am not prepared to put myself in a situation around them
Amen.
because I'm really striving to do better. But I am proud to say that, you know what? I don't need that drink. It's okay. I've learned to forgive others. I prayed for my last husband. I pray that honestly that he's truly happy and that that's where he wants to be. I've learned to forgive and let go.
Amen.
That's hard.
Amen.
And the gentleman I was with in Colorado, I pray for him and I pray that he gets help and moves his life forward. I can't go around I have a heart, and sometimes that heart's not always good to have. No, it is. I'm kidding. Because you're more prone to put yourself in situations that you really should. But I'm learning to be a little smarter as well.
Amen.
And just kind of let that stuff go because you know what? It's not. And what was it I had read? There was a verse. I wrote it down. I just recently read it. What was it? Let's see if I got it. I did write it down, but this is what I do want to hit too. He's not our. Actually, no. Dang, I left it. It was my soap I had done the other day, but it was in Romans, and it's basically, you know, He's not here to make us happy. That's not. It's not all about fairies and being happy all the time. We're here to glorify Him.
Amen.
And that's something that
Amen.
I have recently learned too. But I do want to share this verse because this is something that hit me during one of my studies too. And it's Romans 6:19. Because of the weakness of your human nature, I am using the illustration of slavery to help you understand all this. Previously, you let yourselves be slaves to impurity and lawlessness, which led ever deeper into sin. Now you must give yourselves to be slaves to righteousness, living so that you will become holy.
Amen.
Our salvation is a gift of God.
Amen.
And it's taken me 44 years to get there to realize this. But man, life is so much different when you have a different perspective and you have Him in your life. And I realize that over the years, that's what I've lacked in life, is I have lacked Him, a presence of Him, or allowing Him to be a presence in my life. I'm not saying He wasn't there. I just was shut off and just not looking to that. And I realized coming back home, at first, like I said, I told y'all, I hated it. I cried at night. I'm like, why would you send me back to this bitch? I hate the humidity here. I was like a pouty little 2-year-old at first. And I was. I'm not going to lie to you. I was. And
We don't like it either.
it's taken me time to realize I've been brought here for a reason.
Amen.
He had a plan.
Amen.
He has a plan.
That's right.
And I'm so gracious for all the wonderful people that have become a part of my life, because my life has truly, honestly changed. From people that I have met through here at church, through work, the gym. I mean, it's He knows to send people, and it's just it's unbelievable how that works and comes to play.
That's right.
But I've learned that I have to forgive people because, ultimately at the end of the day, who made the decision to do what she did? I did. They didn't twist my arm. They didn't make me do it. I did it. And that's a hard, it was easy in the beginning when my marriages failed or when the guy in Colorado did to me. It's just easy to blame everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately I'm responsible for that. So, let's see. Like I said, I'm still learning, still working towards life. I do want to help others. And the last song I would like Jeff to play, to me this song represents my life now versus from where I was.
You want to say anything after the song? Or are you done? Okay, just stay there a minute. I'm going to